Today's youth need teachers, volunteers, and most of all, well, they need you. I'm Doug Edwards, and I'm going to be talking with real youth mentors and students to give you the knowledge you need to be the best youth worker possible. This is Youth Worker on Fire.
Oh, you're trying to bring me down and run me out of town. You're taking what you want, but you can't take my rhythm now. I'm walking to my own beat, just gonna be me. I'm not replicating nobody.
So I want to talk to you about some of the most fun and exciting trips I've ever taken in student missions. Now, we took a lot of them, and we were very, very fortunate, and it was a great time. But I want to tell you where it came from first, because some of you are going, well, you know what? We've got too much to handle. If you're anywhere in the United States, and we've gone through all the different things we've gone through in the past few years, and if finances were tight before, they're really tight now. You think, well, I can't think about student missions. I've still got camps, and I've got every weekly thing to worry about. And some of you that are getting paid to be in ministry, you're going, I've got to raise my own funds just so I can get paid. How in the world can I do student missions? But student missions, I found, ended up being the easiest thing I could raise money for. Now, we're all in different circumstances. I know that. And some of you that are in other parts of the world that are listening to this, you're going, we are a mission field. We are. There's nothing worse that anyone's going through than we're going through right now. And that is absolutely true. But for those of us who are in the United States or certain countries that seem to be a bit more sheltered, even though we all have our thing, student missions was something that came to me. I didn't really go looking for it. There's a lot of things in life I didn't go looking for. And I was at this event. I had just transitioned from Youth for Christ campus life to a church called Trinity. And at that church, we did our first little camp to the Jesus Festival. It's in summertime or spring. I forget which. Is really hot, though. And we were camping out. I learned later there are better ways to do things. But I remember one thing that happened at this Jesus Festival, which was an annual event, and that was a guy, an author by the name of Walter Martin was speaking. He was a really, really old guy at that time. In fact, he didn't have many years left, we found out later in life, and he went to be in heaven. But he wrote a book called The Kingdom of the Cults. And so while we were at that event, one of my buddies, Jack Larson, was there. And Jack, I've talked about Jack before. Jack's gone to be with the Lord. He died of COVID not long ago. And so I went in to see him and said, hey, how you doing, everything? He said, great, man. He said, you need to think about going with me to the Dominican Republic and student missions. And I said, that's great. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll think about it. And when I left the tent, I said, there's no way. I am going on a mission trip. This costs too much money. It just takes too much, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. And so 2 weeks later, I get a call from Jack, and Jack says, hey, by the way, I've got you a free plane ticket to the Dominican Republic. I'm taking multiple youth pastors and youth workers down on a go-see tour. I want you to come and see what the Dominican Republic is all about and what we're doing there and how this would fit into your student ministry. And I thought, oh, my goodness, he's got a free plane ticket. How do I turn that down? And I didn't, and it was just like scary. Now, listen, I'd been all over the United States at the age of 15 without my parents on a tour. I've been all over Europe behind the Iron Curtain when I was 18 years of age with the United States Collegiate Wind Band. I know what that oppression felt like, but I had no fear. Any of those places, I just didn't really have any fear. I was just excited to be there and all that. As soon as I realized I was going to go to the Dominican Republic, an unknown for me, I just was gripped with fear. And by the way, we are in warfare. You will be gripped with fear or some kind of anxiousness somewhere along the way. Anytime something God is trying to do different in your life, and there's going to be a battle, a war going on to where you're going to just not want to do it, or you're gripped with fear. And I was gripped with fear. I knew I was going to die when I flew down there. Well, that was absolutely not true. I finally got on the plane. We went a go-see tour, and it changed my life completely. But here's the thing. So we signed up to do a couple of mission trips, and these are our first ones. The first one was going to be middle schoolers in Arizona at the Papago Reservation, Native Americans. The reservation was there in south of Tucson. And we signed up for the Dominican Republic. Like a week after that trip was over, we'd go to the Dominican Republic with high schoolers. In my mind, I was going like, good, knock them out, 1, 2, and not a problem at all. And so we came back, and I thought, and Jack said, listen, all you've got to do is we'll give you a form letter, show you how to write it, and have your students write letters to raise the funds. That's all you're going to have to do. But being a rookie to this, being a guy who was not really good at raising funds, so we did all this work. I mean, we did all kinds of bake sales and car washes. We even did a TV show. Did all that, raised less than 10% of the money we needed. Finally, we broke down, wrote the letter, sent it out. We made more than enough money just with the letters alone to send us all to the Dominican Republic and to Arizona. So lesson number 1 for me and for you is if you are going on a mission trip for the first time, you're going to go, oh, we got to do all these things. Well, is that what you want your missionaries to do? You want them to go out and find 2 or 3, 4 other jobs? Well, some people think they should, and some missionaries actually do. But it's really not a God design. If you go and look at the way Paul went on missions and Timothy, and a lot of times with the apostles, they were forced to leave countries and areas and stuff, and so they were always in need. But the churches would come together, or at least they asked them to provide for the shepherds, the people that were doing the missions work and all those things. But we tend to think students and their families should have to work. Why? Well, really, there's 2 or 3 people in the church usually that they're going, we want to see these kids work. What are they? Well, they're going to work. They're going to a third world country to do missions, or they're someplace in the United States that has poverty, and you're going to work, and you need to treat them as a missionary and help them to see this is how missionaries raise their funds. We never did all that work again. We did many, many mission trips after that. Here's the fun thing. Here's what was amazing, and this is how God works. God will send you on these things, and they're going to be hard. They're not going to be easy. Not all of them. Some of them will be, and some will be, easier. But there's always hard work when it comes to taking students and staff anywhere, getting families prepared, and actually securing them in the fact that you're going to take care of their kids the best you can. And by the way, we found out never tell a family that their kids are safe with you. There is never not going to be any problems. We're going to keep them secured and safe. Now, I would try to go with the best organizations that had the best safety records, because you don't want to leave things to chance or throw it, challenge God like, you take care of us. That's what, no. You don't want to challenge God. You don't want to challenge yourself in ways that are unnecessary. You're going to get challenges. You're going to be in dangerous situations, whether you want to be, no matter how much you plan or not. Don't make those situations on purpose. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to be the safest you possibly can for the students and families. So we go to Arizona with, I think we had 5 students. My wife and I took them. We thought, oh my goodness, we fly into Phoenix and then down to Tucson and drive in, and we're thirsty the whole time. So we get there, 115-degree days, but 60-degree nights, and they have us sleeping in tents 12 miles out into the Saguaro National Forest. It is amazing. It is gorgeous. And so 60-degree nights, though, it is amazing. We sleep like babies. But during the day, if you're not in the shade, 115 degrees is bearable, believe it or not, in that kind of dry climate. But it was great because we got these students out there, and they were helping repair walls for this Native American reservation school. It was a very successful trip, and we love those 60-degree nights. And we'd go out there and talk with the students, and we'd look up, and you could see the outline of the mountains and the brilliant stars, beyond brilliant. Who would design some trip like that except for God? My wife and I realized something, no more back-to-back student ministry missions trips because you're living in some very, very tough environments, even though they're fun, even though they're amazing and exciting, because your students are changing people's lives and their lives are being changed, and so are yours, because you're doing something in poverty like you've never seen before, helping people that are stuck where they are. So we would go back to the camp in the evening, and the swimming pool was gorgeous, man. It was blue looking, almost like it was water they poured in straight from the Caribbean. But about midweek, the pool was green, and I think it stayed green for the rest of the 2-week period. But we were so hot that every day we'd come back and dive into that green pool, not even thinking about what germs were in there and what could happen to us. And our students and our staff for the high school trip were fresh, so they were good for the 2 weeks that we were down there. But by the middle of the week, my wife and I were going, oh my goodness, what are we doing? How can we get out of here? And so there's no way out, man. You're stuck there for 2 weeks. So it took us a while to get over how hard the trip was on Colleen and I, or those 2 trips together, realizing that desert is easier than smoldering heat without air conditioning. 60-degree nights versus 100-degree nights or 95-degree nights and 3,000% humidity is what it felt like. It wasn't, but felt that way. One of our guys, and we've said this before somewhere, that Michael Helms, who was the first guy that edited and got me into podcasting, he was one of the students then, and remembered laying on his back and waking up thinking, I don't know if he's yelling or what he was doing. The sweat poured into his ears, and he woke up and thought he was deaf. So that was hilarious. But there was some different things that happened. We loved the Mercado, all those things. So they were fun. It was hard. It was tough. It seemed impossible for us to do. But those students came back heroes. Heroes to the people in the community. Heroes to the people at the Native American reservation. Heroes to their parents, to their church, because they were the first of this new church to do this sort of thing that was really taking the gospel with them. So we would do many other mission trips after that. But there was one other mission trip, and we did several, but I want to tell you about this one. Middle school students and missions are perfect for each other. Now, I believe in going with student missions organizations. We did do 5 years to where we went to Guatemala with our church. We would still take the middle schoolers to Mexico. To let you know, my daughter missed those trips. She got into middle school right when we signed up for Mexico, and we were getting ready to go. And our organization said, we cannot go anymore. The cartels are too dangerous. And when a student ministry missions organization says it's too dangerous, it's too dangerous. You can't necessarily trust missionaries to tell you if it's too dangerous or not, because they're used to danger. So the missions organizations that are developed for students are really the way you need to go and what you need to listen to. But Holly, that was closed down for her, and so Holly said, Dad, I can't believe this. And so we went to the Appalachian Mountains. Our trip would go there and deal with the poverty in the Appalachian area. The words out of my daughter Holly's mouth was this: Dad, it just is nothing compared to the poverty that I saw on those videos with my brothers. I said, I know, Holly. I know it's not. I said, it really stinks that you have not got to witness that. So you'll understand that even a middle school kid who's seen the difference, and even in videos, knows that, yes, we have needs in the United States. Yes, we need to take care of those needs, but we should be doing that all the time anyway. And in the United States of America, there really should be no poverty. That's on us. That's on us as a church. I don't even believe that's the government's responsibility. I believe it is the church's responsibility. So that's a given. But when you take students and staff to third world countries, their eyes are open. They are never the same, and they cannot unsee what they've seen or unfeel what they felt. And so this one particular mission trip, well before Holly was even in middle school, we were doing the border town stuff, and we were taking more middle school students than ever before. And each night we'd do our separate devotions. We were there with many churches. And at night, after we'd have our program, they'd say, okay, split up and go find your place and have a devotional time with your individual groups. And so we did. We'd be up under this barn outside with our chairs in a circle, and there'd be this one light bulb. I tell you, it couldn't be more than 25 watts. I mean, it was really dim. You could barely see your Bibles or anything when you were looking at them. You had to use your flashlights. But I remember one of the most amazing events, and this is how God shows up. So we're in our circle, we're in our devotion, and in the middle of a devotion, our devotions, I think I was talking, or somebody was, one of the staffers, a little girl by the name of April speaks up and says, God just talked to me, and he told me that I needed to be baptized. I mean, it was not in context of anything we said. And she blurts out, as middle schoolers do, in the middle with no context, and says, God just spoke to me, and he wants me to be baptized. And I said, well, okay. Well, that's awesome. We'll do that when we go home. We'll have a baptismal service. And then another guy, I believe it was Ryan, said, I want to be baptized too. And it was like a Holy Spirit moment. Now, yes, I know middle schoolers, they tend to play off of each other, but it was like a fuse was lit. And then every student individually started saying, I want to be baptized. Will you baptize me too? Can I be baptized? And so the whole group, the whole devotional was a God moment. Everything else we're going to say was almost unimportant because God had arrived through a little middle school girl named April. And when we got back to the States, and by the way, can you imagine if you were to take your middle school group every year to build a home in extreme poverty areas? Your middle school 6th, 7th, and 8th graders swinging the hammers that put the nails in the wood, helping carry the boards that put the floor that these people are going to live in and sleep on. And we had contractors with us to make sure they were done right. But their hands did it. These middle school hands did it. That's why you need to do some kind of foreign mission trip. You know, once again, to me, though, not only were they exciting and heartbreaking and all those things, but the amazing thing is that the students would come back and they'd say, we had so much fun. And we did ski trips and all these other things. But the missions trips seemed to bring out the heart of God. Well, Scripture says that, you know, he hears the cries of the weak. He is there where there is pain. He is there as the comforter. And so when we go into poverty, we go and see these things. I'm not telling you to do it every day and every week and all the time, but they were as much fun as they were tough. And the one thing I loved about Mission Discovery and a World Servants is always have a fun day. We'd go to the ocean and take a break, or we'd go to Padre Island there in Texas, and because you had to have those breaks. You couldn't be just tough and serious all the time. So I hope this has helped you to maybe get an idea and a thought of, you know what, I've just put this mission stuff off and felt like it was just way beyond my ability. And I'm not telling you to not just do it in your own country. And having fun with students, because we learn better through laughing than we do through crying. Both are necessary. I love what Mike Yaconelli said. He said, I had this amazing spiritual event. And he said, we had pizza and we just had a meeting and the kids were going, we want to live for Jesus forever. And we want to do all this stuff. And we just love God so much. And then the pizza came out and big guys were just falling all over everybody trying to get to the pizza and just stuffing their mouth with pizza. And and being rude and everything else. He says, I thought you guys wanted to live for Jesus or something like that. And he said, the guy said, yeah, but right now I'm hungry. So you're going to go through all kinds of emotions with students, but it's the long-term effect where some of them will become missionaries and pastors and doctors and nurses and first responders and people that are going to change the world. But at some point, they're going to love Jesus and follow over everybody else and disrupt everyone so they can get to the pizza because they're hungry. All right, Youth Worker Nation. This is Doug Edwards, and we'll talk to you next time.
You've been listening to the Youth Worker on Fire podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and tell your friends. Also, leave a comment and tell us what you think. Stay tuned for more informative episodes.